Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you all again. And thank you. Thank you all for coming down again to join us tonight. Look at the crowd. It stretches right from over here. I want to give a shout out to all of you. Thank you for coming. Right to over there. Thank you. And it goes right all the way to the back. I thank you all. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I'm feeling really good. And I'm sure you are too, because I sense that you are feeling hopeful. That come next Friday, we will see the SDP in the next parliament. Because that's when real change starts. Change that will make things that little bit more secure and more hopeful for all of you. You know, after the first rally that we had in Choa Chu Kang Stadium, after that, we went to a coffee shop to get a drink. And there, came across a table of guys just sitting around and having a round of beer. And I heard them talking. And they said, hey, you know, Dr. Chee, he was talking Hokkien and Cantonese and Teochew. And then they started arguing which dialect was better. Right? And then they couldn't agree. So they said, okay, let's put it to a contest. They said, what contest? Okay, let's see which dialect is more accurate, which more concise, meaning we'll ask each other questions and see how we can use less words. The lesser the words, the fewer the words, I beg your pardon, the better your dialect is. So everybody said, okay. And after a few beers, everybody felt a little bit more relaxed. So the Cantonese, guy speaking Cantonese says, I'll go first. Okay, you ask me any question. They say, okay, let's keep it, make this rule. First, you ask the question, who are you? Or what your dialect is. And then you must answer in 5 words. A big one. Answer in your own number of words, right? Then we'll follow a question, what are you doing? Then the guy accepted. He says, okay, I accept the challenge. Cantonese is so good that I will say it in 5 words. No more. Everybody said, are you sure? 5 words? Yes. Okay. So they started. This guy asked him, 5 words. 你係乜嘢人? Then the Cantonese guy said, 我係廣東人. 5 words. Very impressive. 你呢處做乜? 我呢處飲酒. 5 words. Wow, everybody was really impressed. Then this guy speaking, I think it was King Chu or whatever. He says, I can do better. 4 words. What? Really? So they asked him. Lu si mi nang? 4 words. Wa King Chu nang? Lu to mi te? Wa lim chiu je? 4 words. Then, not to be outdone, the guy speaking Hokkien says, I'll beat that. 3 words. Wow. Okay, let's start. Si mi nang? Hokkien nang? Zhou si mi? Wa lim jiu. Then the Teochew guy comes along now. 3 words? Not good. I give you 2. Wow. Li jiang, xi wa, zhou mi, lim jiu. No, that's not the end. That wasn't the end. And the guy was speaking English. Very quiet on the corner. And he's a bit tipsy by now. English beat everybody. See, really? 1 word. Okay, good. The guy says, who? He says, me. What? Drink. Actually, I didn't hear that at a coffee shop. I heard that long time ago when I was little. You know to who? Those of you who are old enough to remember. You remember Wang Sa Ye Feng? We call him Apuya San. Chinese variety show. Can you remember? Don't raise your hands. You'll reveal your age. But those were the days that life seemed a little simpler. Dare I say a little happier? Certainly less stressful. But times have changed, hasn't it? Now, many people have commented that we have become less Singaporean. I don't know what is it that makes us Singaporean. I can't define it. And experts are having a tough time doing it. But I found that out. I found that out one morning, just yesterday morning, when I was out in Ghim Moh, doing a walkabout with my team. And after the walk, just in between, we took a break and had our coffee, and we were sitting down. And some people ordered the mee chiang kueh, right? Because they say that it's very good over there, and I can vouch for it. It's ooh la la. There you go. Another language, French. So please, ooh la la is French. So we were sitting there, and we were eating our mee chiang kueh, and then, I had a few pieces, and Paul was sitting beside me. So I took these 2 pieces and said, Paul, have some more. He said, no, I can only have 2. Very jala already. And then it hit me. There was this Indian guy sitting with this Chinese guy, and he used the word jala, which I think is Malay. That's quintessentially Singaporean, isn't it? Here was this professor, the top of his field. He goes all over the world to deliver lectures. He calls me up. I never know at any time where he is. South Africa at one time, US and another, and then Korea and another day. But here he was, and here we were sitting down in a hawker center, very, very Singaporean. But, as I said also, growing up, when I was in secondary school, I was the die-hard Singapore football fan. Those of you who can remember the 70s, Kallang Roar, we were in the thick of Malaysia Cup, right? Can you remember, all of you old enough to remember, banana kick specialist, S. Rajagopal, right? Gelek King, Dollah Qasim. Then we have our Kwa Kim Song. And then was the graceful Mat Noh. But when I watched them, I shouted myself hoarse. But never once did it occur to me that they were Malay or Indian, Chinese. They were Singapore. They were Singapore. But looking back, it just dawned on me that, as I said, I was never conscious of whether they were Malay, Indian, or Chinese. Then I got into politics. The first thing I heard was that the Malay needed a certificate to prove that they were Malay. The Indians needed a certificate to prove they were Indians. Do you know how offensive that is? Paul needs to show that he is Indian. Not only that, after he shows that he is Indian, the next election, he has to collect another certificate to show that he is Indian some more. This system constantly tries to divide us. You're Indian, you're Malay, you're Eurasian, you're Chinese, you're other. I don't know what it is. But the other day I saw somebody show me the pink IC, right? And under race they put German. And she speaks English. But as I said, many Singaporeans lament that we are becoming less Singaporean. And one of the things that is making us feel less Singaporean and feeling very stressed is the population policy that we continue to import hundreds of thousands of foreigners into this country. Now, whether you're taking the MRT or going downtown or just going to the beach to relax, the island is jam-packed with people. Already, with 5.3 million people, of which 40% are not Singaporeans. Singapore is already the third most densely populated country in the world. And yet, the PAP wants to push the population to 6.9 million. Now, I want to be very clear about this, and I hope you listen very carefully. I understand. The SDP understands that Singapore needs new immigrants. After all, we are a nation of immigrants. But that's not the question. The question is, how do we manage the flow of immigrants into this country? The way that the PAP has handled the matter has thus far been disappointing, and I am putting it very mildly. I'll demonstrate to you what I mean by drawing the analogy of a lifeboat. You have a ship that's sinking. There is a lifeboat that's in the water and can take 100 passengers, all of whom are waiting to get on it to escape. If we have everybody jumping into the lifeboat all at once, 1, 2, 3, everybody jump, what do you think will happen? The boat will sink under the impact. But we do it in an orderly manner. Children first, then women, then men. The boat will be able to safely take everyone in. The same is with our immigration policy. Can you remember in 2014 that Mr. Lee Hsien Loong likened Singapore to being a sampan? If Singapore is like a sampan, imagine what will happen when everybody jumps into the sampan all at the same time. The PAP has allowed so many foreigners in such a short span of time that the impact is causing our societies to split. Worse, it hasn't planned properly our infrastructure to accommodate the enormous influx. I had the shock of my life when in 2008, then Minister Giorgio said the government should come up with a master plan to see how many foreigners we can accommodate. After 10 years of allowing 2 million people into the country, then you come and tell us that the government needs a plan? Don't you think that's a little bit too late? One would have thought that a plan would have been in place before, not after the floodgates were open. But because the PAP did not have a plan to accommodate so many people, we found our foreign workers congregating in public places. There is Little Philippines in Lucky Plaza, Little Myanmar in Peninsula Plaza, Little Vietnam in Joo Chiat, Little Thailand in Golden Mile Complex, and of course Little India in Serangoon Road. And because of the lack of a plan to help these foreigners assimilate into our society, the congregation of these huge numbers of foreigners led to trouble. The riot in Little India is a case in point. The riot caused more than $500,000 of property damage. Several emergency vehicles were wrecked and scores of police officers were injured. The lack of planning by the government was so bad that even the police were not trained to equip to handle the unrest. The commission of inquiry that was convened to investigate the incident found that there were insufficient number of officers available. The officers were not properly equipped. Radio airwaves jammed at the crucial moment. The commanding officer did not have any idea how many men he had at his disposal. Officers on the scene admitted that they were not trained to handle a full-scale riot, and the police did not have the numbers to fully contain the mob. Then there are the constant MRT breakdowns. In the latest malfunction, which affected thousands of commuters, Mr. Liu Tak-yu admitted that, and I quote, "To be honest, I'm not fully confident that we will have a sustained period of no major disruptions," unquote. Again, where was the planning to ensure that our infrastructure could cope with the hundreds of thousands of people that we let into this country? And on our roads, have you noticed that it takes much longer nowadays to get from one place to another? Our expressways are much more congested, and because of this, the ERP rates keep on increasing. And that's not to mention that with more people buying cars, COE prices also keep increasing. What about housing? The super rich are coming into Singapore to buy high-end property, pushing up prices. That affects the price of HDB flats, especially those in the resale market. Many of you have told us of cases where permanent residents buy HDB flats and then rent them out or sell them at a handsome profit. I think by now that it must be abundantly clear that the problem is not with the foreigners in Singapore. We must be careful, and I cannot emphasize this anymore. We do not conduct ourselves in an ugly, xenophobic manner, where we take it out on foreign workers who are here. They are here to earn a living for their families just like you and I. If we are going to get angry, then let us get angry at PAP's policy, not our guest workers. And because of the PAP's over-liberal immigration policy, stress levels of Singaporeans are at an all-time high, and our quality of life has deteriorated. Listen to these statistics, which I'm about to tell you, and you can check out all this online. Singaporeans are more likely to have suffered from depression, stress, and fatigue than most of our Asian counterparts. Psychiatrists in Singapore reveal that up to 90% of their patients are suffering from mental health issues, stress caused by stress from work. Singaporeans work the most number of hours compared to other comparable economies, and with falling real incomes. Singaporean workers are the least happy in Asia. We rank 70th position out of 194 societies in the Quality of Life Index, and 90th position out of 151 countries in the Happy Planet Index. The elderly are pressured to continue working after retirement. The number of elderly Singaporean men working is at a record high. And yet the PAP wants to increase the population to 6.9 million. The government is already signing agreements that will force Singapore to let in even more foreign workers. Listen very carefully. The ASEAN Economic Community Agreement, or AEC, for example, would form a single market among ASEAN nations that will allow the unrestricted flow of labor across the region. According to a survey, 80% of workers in the region said they would like to work in Singapore under the AEC. Do you know how many hundreds of millions there are of people there are in ASEAN? Now, the agreement is expected to be in place by the end of this year. The influx of foreigners is not only affecting our quality of life, it is also increasing our cost of living. I mentioned on Thursday at Choa Chu Kang that Singapore is the most expensive city in the world. Another survey by this international group called Mercer found that Singapore has the fourth highest cost of living in the world. This is because the government is attracting millionaires and billionaires to Singapore, and this is pushing prices of everything through the roof. The government is also importing huge numbers of PMETs from our poorer neighbors, and these workers compete with you for your jobs, depressing your wages. most expensive city in the world, lower wages. You don't need to be an Einstein to see why Singaporeans are suffering and what the cause of the problem is. The younger generation of Singaporeans also cannot afford HDB flats because they're getting too expensive. They have to compete with foreign students for places at our universities, and when they graduate, they have difficulty in finding a job. As a result, many of our younger Singaporeans choose to emigrate. A few years ago, Lee Kuan Yew pointed out that about 1,000 Singaporeans are leaving Singapore for other countries every year. Now, these people make up the top 4 or 5% of skilled Singaporeans that our economy needs. This is no small number given the smart size of our country. But the more people we let in, the greater the competition for jobs. The greater the competition for jobs, the lower wages become. The lower wages become, the more stressful life in Singapore gets. The more stressful life Singapore gets, the more Singaporeans choose to leave. And the more Singaporeans leave, the more foreigners the PAP brings in. And on goes the downward spiral. The only way that Singaporeans can prevent such a crazy, scary future scenario is to send a clear signal to the PAP in this election that you disapprove of such a policy. And the only way that you can send such a signal is to voice your unhappiness at this policy, is to vote for the SDP and send us into Parliament. Because without the SDP in Parliament, you will have continue to have no voice. And this problem will only worsen. All these are facts. I am not attacking the PAP for the sake of it. And I'm not saying that all is doom and gloom in Singapore. I take pains to cite you these problems which, by the way, some PAP ministers and MPs themselves have admitted, so that there is no question in our minds that these are serious problems and these are serious questions to be asked. Let me repeat, the SDP is not against immigration, and we are not against immigrants or foreigners who work here. We need new citizens and foreign workers. I met a few business owners just this morning, and they told me that it was hard getting Singaporeans to apply for frontline jobs in the F&B and retail sectors. And they need foreign workers. I agree. We need foreign workers. What I disagree with is the indiscriminate allowing of foreign workers into our country. In other words, we must manage the process better. We must regulate the rate at which we take in foreigners, as well as the quality of the workers whom we let into this country. To this end, the SDP has drawn up a comprehensive set of alternative measures that we can implement. But I will describe only one because of time constraints. Please read the others on our website, yoursdp.org. We want the government to adopt a Singaporeans first policy, where foreign workers, especially the PMETs, wishing to work in Singapore, will be assessed via a point system based on a number of factors. Factors such as age, qualifications, skill sets, competencies, experience, number of dependents, etc., to determine if they meet the economic and population needs of Singapore. If they meet the cutoff, then they go into a pool of potential employees, and Singaporean employers will be able to hire from this pool. This is not hard to do. Canada does it, Australia does it, the UK does it. If the Canadian government can protect Canadians, the Australian government can protect Australians, the British government can protect Brits, why can't our government protect us? The net effect of SDP Singaporeans' first policy is that we will be able to considerably reduce the current number of foreign workers in Singapore while, and I want to make this absolutely clear for our SMEs, allowing our businesses access to foreign talent that they need. It's a win-win situation for Singaporeans and Singaporean businesses. Now, as I stated earlier, we must focus on the policy and not on foreigners in this country. By the same token, let us focus on policies in this election, not on personal attacks. Now, it may come as a shock to you if I say this, so you better hold on to your seats or hold on to whatever you're close to you. Because what I'm about to say may register significantly on the Richter scale. I said this before, and I will say it again. The PAP is not all bad. Some of the MPs genuinely work and care for the people. But by the same token, neither is the opposition the useless, destructive force that the PAP paints us out to be. We have ideas, good ideas that will help to improve the lives of our fellow citizens, ideas that will take Singapore forward and make it a better place. The PAP and the opposition must find common ground and work for the good of this country. To this end, the SDP makes this pledge to all our voters here tonight. We will cooperate and support the ruling party on issues that benefit the people and that are good for our country. But where we see PAP policies taking Singapore down the wrong path, we will be steadfast in our principles and push the PAP hard. But we will not stop there. We will provide credible, workable alternatives to take Singapore forward. You may or may not agree with everything that we propose. No one agrees on everything all of the time. That would be like Nazi Germany. But even if you don't agree with us, you know that the SDP will always do it with sincerity, with honesty, and with Singapore's best interest at heart. Many people have told me, don't talk about democracy and freedom. Singaporeans are not interested in that. They're only interested in bread and butter issues. I know that. I know that. Speaking popular words and doing popular deeds is what will get parties into parliament. But that's not what the SDP is about. It certainly isn't what I'm about. Like everyone else, I want to be popular. As human beings, it is innate. We have the need to be accepted by our peers, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It is difficult being rejected. But there are times in one's life where we must choose between doing the popular thing or doing the right thing. I chose to do the right thing. I chose to tell you the importance of standing up and protecting your rights, even though it was not the popular thing at that time. I said it then, and I will say it again. Without democracy, without our political rights, we cannot make the PAP act in our interest. It is precisely because of the lack of our democratic rights that our situation has become so bad. During this period, when I was fighting for democracy, many people accused me of being out of touch with the people and even bringing the opposition a bad name. For many years, people, even some of my close friends, rejected what I was saying and doing. Those were very trying times. But whenever I found myself alone and racked with doubt and questions, I found strength in a poem. I want to share it with you tonight, if I may. The title of the poem is If, by Rudyard Kipling. Some of you may have heard of it. It goes something like this. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you and make allowance for the doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about but don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son. I searched deep. But the more I searched, the more I found that there was only one answer. And that is, in life, one must do what is right, not just what is popular. Because what is right is also the truth. And the truth is that without our political rights, we cannot protect our wages, our jobs, and our future. My fellow Singaporeans, I would rather be honest and not get into Parliament than to lie to you and be in Parliament for all the wrong reasons. If you want to see a party that will stand up for you and do it with integrity, with honesty, with sincerity, then I beseech you, vote wisely, vote for the SDP. Thank you, and good night.
Okay, we are now going to do a simple team activity to show our unity as Singaporeans and to stand in solidarity. So can we get all of you to light on your light stick? And when I shout SDP, you say can. Can we do that?
我们现在要做一项团队活动，展现我们国人团结统一的精神。我们要你把手中的荧光棒打开，在 Surya 高喊 SDP 后，你们一面高举荧光棒，一面喊 can， 可以吗？ I'll right now call upon all SDP candidates to each take a light stick and get on the stage and do it together with us. 情绪激昂的呼声中，我要宣布今晚的群众大会结束。明晚的大会将在日朗西体育场举行。谢谢大家。
Please go to our merchandise booth to get your things there and support the SDP.
Tomorrow the rally will be at Jurong East Stadium. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. SDP. 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 Thank you.
SDP. 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 SDP.
Please come down at the booth. There's a booth there at the booth. Okay, for those who want to volunteer for us, please go to the merchandise booth. We have forms there. Thank you and good night.
Yes, we need lots of polling agents and counting agents. SDP will be standing up in 5 areas. So please help us. Thank you.
Okay, for Dr. Chee Juan's book, for those who need his autograph, we'll be doing it here, right in front of the stage, all right? Thank you. And please do not forget to pick up your liters. Thank you. We don't want to litter, yeah? Can we get your cooperation? Yes. Thank you.
SDP. Dr. Chee.
Can everyone stand back for a while? And then be patient, everyone will get your time between. Thank you, Juan. Thank you so much, everybody. Okay, hold on there. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good luck. Thank you. Good luck. I must be but there won't be any more. You will become PMG. You will become PMG very soon.
Hi everybody.
Hi.
Thank you for coming everybody.
PNG, you're going to be the PM. PNG.
We need to get in parliament first. Yeah. We get in parliament and then we can talk. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you. 谢谢你，谢谢你。Thank you everybody. Thank you for coming. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody. Thank you so much everybody. Behind. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. We need it. We need it. Thank you so much. Thank you. All to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, all the way to Parliament.
Thank you.
All the way to Parliament.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. I'll sign it over there. I don't have a table. Mine is around the side now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll sign the book over there. Nice job. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I can go over there, but thanks anyway. Everybody, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Over here.
Thank you, Dr. Chee. Thank you.
John!
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello, John! It's a long time.
Yes, thank you for coming. Thank you. Autograph. You want autograph? You go there. Oh,
Fight harder, huh? Fight harder, don't fight harder.
Put me in Parliament, then the fight.